That record holds now that the camel completely
Hello everyone, welcome back to the Grand Prix Podcast. I'm Elton, and as always, I'm joined by the wonderful Andy.
Hello sir, how are you?
Not too bad, not too bad. How are you feeling? You tired?
Little bit. It's been a long day,
Yeah.
Up at 5 o'clock to watch the Australian race, which of course you understand, for you two in solidarity awoke early to watch this first race of the season. Did you not?
Nah, not this time. I know.
In the immortal words of the knight from Raiders of the Last Crusade, who chose wisely.
I certainly did, didn't I?
You did.
I did have my alarm set for 5, so that was all ready to go. I was gonna I'll watch all the pre-race stuff after, sod that. But I set my alarm and it went off. And I rolled over, I went, no, not this time. Plus, there was like other things going on in the house as well. Believe it or not, yes, it was quite difficult to come downstairs at that time. So I left it, and I'll be up for the next one. Don't worry about that. But not this one, nah.
Okay, we can take it in turns. Do like a shift thing.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I've got the baton for the next one then, yes?
Okay, there you go. Fine.
Yeah. Anyway, let's move on to stuff.
Let's move on to stuff, but regular listeners, all three of you, probably know we're a somewhat frivolous cast here, but we've got to be serious for just a moment. We don't like being serious, but we have to be for a moment, because we've lost someone important to Formula One, right in the run-up to the race.
That's right.
Yeah. Charlie Whiting, who I would consider the only adult in the Formula One paddock, sadly passed away on Wednesday, I think it was.
Wednesday, Thursday morning, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it was just right before, the kind of the weekend officially started with all the practice and everything like that. And we all got the news that he'd passed away. And really tragic. He's one of those guys who, if you don't follow the sport closely, you probably have no clue who he is or what he does or, the importance of Charlie to the race. But like I said, he was kind of like the only adult there. And, he was, I don't know, is it in his 60s or 70s, I think it was? But it was still quite a shock,
He was 66.
That's nothing these days. And, he passed, it was a pulmonary embolism, or something like that, which I can only assume probably came as a result of the long distance flight over there, just beforehand. And so, wow. It's a real shock, really tragic. I think all the cars had a "Thank You, Charlie" sticker, and there was a little moment of silence on the grid beforehand. Sky did some attempt at a little memorial program, which they literally threw together at the last minute. But don't worry, we'll get to Sky's coverage in a little bit. But I just thought we had to acknowledge that Charlie's passed, and I think it's a huge, huge loss for the sport. Like I said, it's we've lost the one adult in the circus, and that really sucks.
I think you're right in saying the one adult, really, because he seemed to be like the medium between the drivers and everyone else who was running the sport and the actual federation which looks after the sport as well. And he was the one that the drivers would maybe knock on his door and have a little chat with. He's like the gaffer, really, isn't he? He's also the man that presses the green button to start the race. But he was also the guy that we wanted to be the voice of. He should have been the voice of Formula One, counting down the slow zones.
We were always saying that, we wanted him to come on the radio and, if someone's done something wrong, to come on the radio and tell them why they've been wrong. And you'd also hear from the drivers, they'd say, let Charlie look at it or tell Charlie to do this. And, was it 2 years ago Vettel got in trouble for telling him to go fuck himself or something like that?
Yeah, it was. Yeah. In Mexico, wasn't it?
Yeah.
as he drove over the line saying, F you, Charlie.
Yeah, pretty much. To give you an idea of how long he's been in it, he started working with the FIA in 1997. That was the year Jacques Villeneuve won the championship with a Williams. Mm-hmm. So he's been at it quite a while. Before that, he was mechanic with Brabham, with Bernie, I think it was, and before that with Hesketh. So he's been he's one of the old guys. He's part of a Formula One furniture, but every time you saw him, he always had a smile on his face. When they did that brief bit where they had the cameras in the drivers' briefings, and it was just great seeing that behind the scenes, the interaction between him and the drivers. They'd be there, saying stuff, and he'd say, "Well, I take what you say, but these are the rules." So
yeah,
that's what it is. When people came up with something cool and innovative like the double diffusers, it was down to Charlie to say if it was legal or not, and then you'd have, they'd say, go and have a protest, and he's just someone who, like I said before, if you don't follow the sport closely, it means nothing to anyone.
Yeah.
But for those of us who do follow it closely, this was a massive blow to the sport, I feel. And I don't think they'll be able to replace him. There'll be a new race director, but there'll never be another Charlie.
No, I think I heard Ross Brawn say that you're not going to be able to replace him. He did too many jobs, worked too hard, and you could feel his shoes in the race director role, but everything else he did, that's going to be hard as well.
Yeah. So yeah, I just wanted to take a moment and say thank you, Charlie, and bid you adieu, sir.
Yeah.
So
shame.
Well, with the serious stuff out of the way, let us resume the what's the polite way of saying shenanigans that take place here?
Well, yeah. Can we be massive kids again now, please?
Yeah, let's get back to being massive kids.
Good. Just to warn any new listeners as well, we may have potty language, and if they're kids listening, then maybe they shouldn't be listening, because that's what happens here. We've been told off before, and we don't want to be told off again. So we're not experts. We're nothing like that. So we hope you enjoy what you're about to hear, and hope you stick with us for the rest of the season. Well, you probably won't, but there we go.
So, where should we go? There's been some news between the liveries testing episode and now.
Yeah.
Let's see, what have we got? I suppose the first thing we probably talk about is with Williams, because it's the first thing on my list of things to talk about. So two things since the testing, because if you recall in the testing, I said there was a chance they could crawl up from the back of the grid.
That's what we were both hoping, though.
We were both hoping. And then I believe the next day, Paddy Lowe announced he's leaving the team for personal reasons.
And we all went, okay, this ain't good.
And, yeah, basically, now George Russell and I think Kubica have come out and said there's a fundamental flaw with the car. I figured out what the fundamental flaw is, though.
Okay, what's that?
It's slow as fuck.
Okay. It looks crap as well. That doesn't help. Everyone knows it's eye candy. If it looks good, it's gonna be good. If it looks shit, it's gonna be.
Point of order, sir. I'd like to refer you to the McLaren of last year.
Yes. Oh, God. Yes. Anyway, well, that was last year. This is this year now. So yeah, he's gone. Has he actually been sacked or left or definitely gone forever?
I don't know. They're being very tight-lipped about everything at Williams at the minute. And all we know really is the team's announced it. This hasn't come from him. The team has announced he's leaving for personal reasons.
Right.
I don't know if they've said it's a permanent leaving, but everyone's taking it as read that it is.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Right,
so,
okay.
Yeah, that's just a huge kind of blow to Williams, to the sport. We don't want to see Williams traipsing around at the back of the grid. Not, 3 laps down, I think it was today, so not good at all.
It was dire and embarrassing, I felt, what they did today. But, it was really
we'll
bad.
Get to that.
And trying to get Paddy Lowe in, and he came from Mercedes as well, didn't he? And they've got a Mercedes engine in that car, and so there's no real excuse. It's not down on horsepower or anything. It's just that it just doesn't cut the air, does it? At all. It's fundamentally flawed.
This is a bit like Williams in McLaren a couple of years ago, when they were putting all their ills were Honda's fault.
Right.
Williams can't hide behind that because they have what is clearly the best engine on. Well, maybe not the best, but it's been the foremost engine of the V6 era.
Yeah.
So they just don't have that to hide behind. So it's there. So yeah, fundamental flaw with the Williams, which hopefully they can do something about that. Maybe.
I'm hoping. I don't have any faith in them though at the moment. I think that they've been down there and they've been treading water for some time, and I think the last couple of seasons we've been going, okay, right, they're one of the slowest teams, they're one of the worst teams, they're one of the worst teams. Yeah,
Williams are a mess. They shouldn't be a mess. I don't want to see any teams at the back, or at least not consistently at the back. I want a nice tight fight in the midfield.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's good for the team. I don't think it's good for the drivers, because I feel Robert Kubica deserves a better shake at the stick on his second go around.
Mm-hmm.
And as everyone who listened to the Liveries episodes know, that you're a huge fan of George Russell and want to see him do well, being the only British hope on the grid apart from the other two. So
he's all right. I just, he's just one of them that I'm just not going to get to grips with.
Yeah. So yeah, a real shame about Paddy Lowe. I don't know. I'm not saying there isn't personal reasons why he's had to leave a team. I'm just saying it's very suspect that the car turned up late, wasn't fast, and now they've identified a fundamental flaw with it. And now he's gone with no real explanation or no word or anything like that.
Mm.
It just kind of reeks of, being fired and a team a bit flailing, and
Paddy done screwed up.
Well, I don't know if Paddy done screwed up, but someone done screwed up. That much is certain.
Okay, well then it falls on his shoulders because of it, and he's had to bite the bullet. But this problem that they have, whatever it is, it seems to be properly baked into that car, and this is happening more and more, isn't it?
It really is. This definitely seems like something that at least is an evolution of a problem they had last year. So. Yeah. At least it would seem they figured it out earlier.
Well, it's always good to know you've got a crap car, because then you can work around it. But if you're flailing around going, no, we got a really good car, but there's something wrong with it, i.e. McLaren a couple of years ago, where they were just insisting that it wasn't their car, it was something else. And that's where you get it in your mind that, no, what we've done is good. Let's just blame it on someone else. And that gets ingrained into what you're doing. And then you don't get rid of the real reason why you're slow. So, it's good that they've pointed out their failings and I don't even know if they know roughly where it is. The drivers seem to know what it is. So maybe they can dial around it. I don't know. But I don't want, like you said, I don't want any team at the back of the grid. I think it's good to mix it around. Minardi and LaRousse were fundamentally at the back of the grid constantly, weren't they?
Yeah.
And that got them down until LaRousse went bust and Minardi got bought out. So, I don't know. Well, Williams going to disappear because of this? I don't know.
It's possible. I mean, let's let Tyrrell disappeared, Brabham disappeared.
Yeah.
You can have championship winning teams very quickly. It can just turn around and off they go, and it'll just be a huge shame if that is the case. The team deserves better.
Yeah.
And a large part of it is down to the way F1 is financed. It's kind of geared up to support the haves over the have-nots. And
the sport has changed over the last 20 years as well.
Absolutely, but in many ways they brought this on themselves, because instances where, they could have brought in things to, cut costs or to, interesting things like customer chassis and all those sort of things, you know, they vehemently opposed because they still view themselves as a championship winning team. And while it's commendable, it does mean that they've missed out perhaps where they could have focused in other places, and, you know, they're just down on the prize money. So we'll just have to see. But I mean, it's very telling that the only two teams this weekend that didn't score any points were Williams and McLaren. So yeah, that's that. And the last thing before we get into the weekend proper, I wish to discuss.
Yes.
And settle in, boys and girls. This could take a while.
Okay.
Sky Sports coverage.
Oh, okay. I wasn't expecting you to go there, but okay.
Oh my God, how shit was that?
It wasn't great, was it?
It was appalling.
Yeah.
It was abysmal. It was farcical. I mean, from what I understand, there's a new guy in charge, Scott Young or something or another, I don't know.
Right.
And I didn't get up to watch the entirety of the pre-show because ain't nothing getting me up before. I mean, look, getting me up at 5 o'clock for the race proper is a minor miracle. If you're expecting to be showing up at like 3:30 just to watch all the bullshit beforehand, that ain't happening.
You can record that and save that for later.
Yeah, and even then, given what we had, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
We kind of touched upon this in the liveries one, but it would seem they've gotten rid of Ted Kravitz.
Yes.
He was in Melbourne. I've seen pictures of him there, but he wasn't featured in any of the coverage at all over either practice qualifying or the race weekend itself. We had no notebook on either qualifying or the race. And I know there were a few instances last year where I was a little critical of a notebook, but it wasn't the notebook itself. It was spending time doing little frivolous bits.
Fortune cookies, etc.
Yeah. Those were the bits I didn't like because I still really like the insight. We didn't have any of that insight. They got rid of Ask Crofty. There was none of that. They brought in Karen Chanduk, I think it is. So basically they've now got Herbert, Hill, Chanduk, Davidson, Button, Rosberg. Is there anyone who is a Formula 1 driver who's not currently employed by a team who's not now working for Sky?
That's right, yeah. And
I can't think of any.
And Martin Brundle as well, yeah.
Yeah, I forgot about those, but yeah. And the problem is, they're all saying the same thing because they're all coming from the same background and the same perspective. What I liked about Ted is he came from a journalistic background. He was a fan. He was one of us.
He was a geek.
You know, he was a geek. He hasn't worked in a Formula 1 team before or anything like. He was just a huge fan, a massive geek, and he kind of channeled. He was our eyes into the paddock.
One of us. One of us.
But now what I've got is, I mean, you've got what's his name? Is it Lazenby? Kind of presenting.
Yeah.
And then you cut between segment to segment, between interview to interview, and they're just swapping and changing the co-presenters willy-nilly with no rhyme or reason. 1 minute it's Herbert and Hill, then I come back and it's Chanduk and Herbert, then all of a sudden the rest is there, then it's Hill again, and nothing's changed in what they're saying, all saying the same things. Then on top of all of that, we get the F1 show, which I don't usually bother with, but since we didn't have the notebook, I kind of wanted to, see if we were getting some technical insight there. They've got Carlos Sainz and Lando Norris there in some cringeworthy. It looked like something out of breakfast TV. Oh, we're going to play a game here. Oh, what are you eating? All this sort of stuff. Look. Sky, look, come here, get close. Right, look, gonna let you in on a little secret here, yeah? We have to subscribe to choose to watch Formula 1 now, right? It's a conscious decision. We have to choose to subscribe to that show. Mm-hmm. So anyone who's watching it is already invested in Sky. You don't have to appeal to the casual viewers because, this is important, casual viewers ain't spending the money to watch it. Everyone who's watching Sky F1 is an F1 fan. And what we want to know is, why did the curb damage Ricciardo's front wing? Why did Carlos Sainz catch fire? Why was the Ferrari so much slower today than it seemed in practice?
Yep.
I want interviews with Robert Kubica to find out what happened to his race. I want to have someone, You know, I want the technical insights. I want the background. I want to be informed with information. So when I come on this and talk to you, I sound like I have a fucking clue about what I'm doing. I'm not getting that anymore.
No. Well, I think you're right in saying it is like breakfast TV, isn't it? It's getting very magazine-y, very poppy, and that's not what we want. We're there because we're nerds, we're geeks. We like the insight. We like the flicks and tucks and want to know what happened to the flicks and tucks and why they've changed and why they've changed this floor and who's got the different suspension and how this suspension works and where they're channeling air. We want all that information. We don't want what Lando Norris had for breakfast that day and did he use a spoon or did he use a fork?
Yeah, and I don't want silly games where, you know, they've got to be blindfolded and hold each other's hands. That's just cringeworthy. You could tell the drivers hated that as well.
Of course.
You're wasting everyone's time with that shit. It's not smart. It's not funny. I don't want it. And just during the race as well, I was really missing cutting to Ted, you know, to find out why is Hamilton 20 seconds down on Bottas? You know, why is the Ferrari's not doing that? Are Ferrari going to allow them to race? And on the, I think, 3 occasions they cut down to Chunduk down in the pit lane. He didn't say anything. He literally just repeated what Crofty had just asked him. And it just doesn't add, you know, he doesn't go looking for answers. He just is just repeating what we can already see. Yeah,
he's just doing it verbatim, isn't he? He might as well cross to me or you, sat on our sofa, going, what do you think about that? Whoa! No, let's do this. It's like a team management radio call, isn't it? And instead, it just seemed there was no insight, no depth. It felt very shallow. It felt like they've got an idea of what they want. They've tried to get. It feels like they don't want Crofty being the big man, which he has built himself up to be over the last couple of years. And I'm kind of like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm quite happy to get rid of the Ask Crofty. I want more in depth though. I want all the nerdy stuff. I want all the geeky stuff.
The only reason I'm on about the Ask Crofty is because I decided to ask Crofty, and what did I ask Crofty? I go, "Where's Ted?" and that's pretty damning as well. Is how silent everyone's been about that. You know, on social media and Twitter and everything. I mean, they've announced he's got a midweek technical show with Rob Smedley. But that's midweek. I don't care about the Australian race come Wednesday.
No, that's why we do this recording now. Yeah. So it's out for Monday, hopefully. God, I hope it is now that I said that. But it's out for Monday because I know I used to listen to 1 or 2 and come Wednesday, I'm not really that fussed.
Yeah, so, I mean, I don't care about, you know, you see, Wednesday's when you want your magazine-y show. That's fine. Do it then.
Yeah.
Because that's just kind of filling time and, you know, treading water between race weekends. And it's interesting perhaps having Rob Smedley there as well. You know, you've got an insider technical perspective and Ted doing his geekiness there. But from what I gather, it's not actually a Sky Sports production. It's being made by someone else and Sky's just airing it. So they've just gotten rid of it. It just feels like they've brought in this new guy and he's just decided, you know, I have to make my mark. I've got to do changes. And of everything that was wrong with the Sky Sports coverage, Ted was not it.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Quite frankly, I think he was one of the best bits. And just on a technical side from the coverage, it was really sloppy. Like there was sound issues whenever they cut to the drivers' interviews. You know, it's like they were on the wrong mic channel, so it was very noisy at first. Yep. At one point, they cut to it, and the cameraman's still zooming focus, and you got whoever was doing the interviews
Rachel,
going...
Rachel, wasn't it?
Rachel going, do you have picture? Are you in focus now? Okay, yeah, fine. And then asking the question. And it wasn't live. This was pre-rolled.
Yeah.
So they'd already filmed it, and then they just were rolling it from that moment. And it just seemed very sloppy. Not the slick production you expect when... I don't know how much it costs just for the Sky subscription, but you're talking probably over £100 for a year.
Oh, yes. Yes. I forget how much I pay. I know it's like £60, I think it is.
Yeah. So I expect more from Sky. And in the UK, we don't have a choice outside of that. And it just feels like, oh, so you've gotten rid of a competition, you don't have to try anymore. Fuck it, who cares? Very disappointed with that.
Yeah, they might as well spend the first hour just flicking their V's saying, look, we're on Sky, you're paying for this, and we're here, and you're not. Might as well just do that. Because I'd rather have that than the fluffy pop smash hits version of Sky that we've got at the moment. That's what it feels like. I want an F1 magazine properly done, and I don't know, I don't want like the aftershave bits in the middle of the magazine, but that's what you get with it. Instead of now we've got smash hits and a coupon for crisps.
And, you know, a few less drivers. I don't mind. Look, I have no problem with Hill. I've got no problem with Brundle. They're maybe a little long in the tooth, but they're pretty competent commentators.
Yeah.
Johnny Herbert tries way too hard.
Yeah.
Please, Johnny, just look. You're at a 12. I need you about a 7 or an 8. Okay.
He's the Keith Chegwin, though.
he really is Keith Chegwin, and it's just painful. But Anthony Davidson, I really like Anthony Davidson when he's on it. I understand he's got other racing commitments, but given how much of a thing they made about Jenson Button being on it, he was nowhere to be seen.
No, he wasn't. No.
You've got too many former drivers. Why don't you get some former team managers on it? Why don't you get some former mechanics? Get Rob Smedley as part of the team if you want to give me a different perspective. But frankly, all the drivers they're much of a muchness when it comes to commentating. They all have their perspective of what it is to be the driver in the car. But as you love drilling into us, this is a team sport where, you know, team orders are a thing because it's a team sport and the driver's just the most visible part of that team. I don't need, 76 former drivers as part of your coverage. And the only, geek who was worth his salt is, in the paddock, but you're not cutting to him because for some reason they've had a falling out. Don't know what it is.
He's out of favour, isn't he? He's out of favour.
Yeah, it's clearly he's out of favour. They got rid of Mark Priestley last year as well, who, while occasionally gets, on my tits, it was an interesting perspective he had because he was a former mechanic.
Yeah.
And I got to imagine that people like him and Ted are way cheaper than, hell, probably even someone like Chanduk's going to be, just because of an overinflated sense of self-worth being a former driver.
Yeah. Yeah.
No disrespect, but I don't care that you were a former driver. You drove for what, HRT?
I think it was, yeah. I'm trying to remember now. Was there a catering in there as well? I'm not too sure.
I
don't
know,
actually care. I really don't care.
I don't care. You circulated at the back of the grid. You never won anything. I doubt you scored a point. And your technical knowledge you're just parroting what's, is already out there. I want the bits where Ted pulls out his phone because he's caught something interesting and, he wants to show us it. I loved when he was walking down the pit lane when all the shutters were up and the music's blaring and, he'd be walking up to the front wings and looking at it and you'd have the guys trying to pack away, giving him funny looks because he's just kind of walked through the barriers and he's telling the cameraman, oh, be careful, don't get hit by the van. Yeah. I miss that. I want that, please.
Yeah, that's the after show I want, but...
Yeah, I don't want and like I said, if you watched did you watch the after show this week?
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got the three guys sitting in the same spot and every time you kind of wait, you just come back. They've put someone else sitting there. And I'm like, well, there was Hill and Herbert. Now it's Herbert and Chandler. Now it's DeVesta and Hill. And now it's Brundle and Hill.
Yeah, this had, it felt like, when you have like the Oscars or the MTV Awards and, oh, look who we've dragged off the red carpet for a little interview. Yeah. It felt like that. And that is not, I want them to be walking up and down the pit lane, bumping into people and stuff like that and trying to grab an interview with someone who's just rushing past. That was the fun bit. Now it seems it's too closed. They're trying to build a little set. I don't like that set. And I just hope they don't start playing flipping darts again because they started doing that last year. And that was when I was Crofty was getting on my tits.
But they didn't interview all the drivers.
No.
They didn't interview the Williams boys, either of them.
Oh no, they got not on that podium, no, but we did get a little bit from Russell.
Oh, okay, fine, but we didn't hear anything from Kubica, and even at the end, they're like, "Oh, we're running out of time. I think we've just got enough time to go and speak to what's his name, the new Toro Rosso boy, and
Alba,
and
Albon, sorry,
yeah." And it was just like, oh, yeah, we kind of have to go to an advert, but I think we can just about squeeze this in. Yeah, very, very sloppy Sky coverage. I'm not happy. I really want to see an improvement, but your guess is as good as mine.
Yeah.
What I would say to everyone is if you also feel like we do, go and hop on the Twitters. I believe hashtag Where's Ted and hashtag Bring Back the Notebook are all little hashtags you can go and use. So go and voice your displeasure on the internet, because that's how things get changed, apparently. Along with hashtag blessed as well. Hashtag blessed. Oh no! Yes. Every time you do a tweet that we've told you to do, hashtag blessed. I want to see it on there.
That's the one. Yeah. Right. Anyway, should we jump into the actual race itself?
I think so. I don't think there was any other news between testing and now. And if there was, it's not important enough that I remembered. So,
well, there was the fastest lap point, but
we'll get to that in the race prof, I suppose.
Yeah. Exactly.
No, actually, let's very quickly talk about that. So, They announced there's going to be an extra point every race weekend for the fastest lap, but only if you're in the top 10.
Okay, what do you think on that? Or should I go first?
You go first. I believe you have thoughts.
Okay, right. Fastest lap. I'm quite happy with this change, or this addition. I think this is quite a good thing. I think it shouldn't be just for the top 10. I think it should be for the whole grid, because imagine the absolute chaos you'd get from first place all the way down to the last runner going, well, if I just put some new boots on, I might be able to get a point here. I might lose 4 places, but I might be able to get a point. And imagine the carnage that there'd be. All of a sudden, all the teams sprinting out to try and change tyres on the cars. And you could have Williams, if they opt not to change their tyres, going up to 7th or 8th or 6th or 5th. You never know. So I think this would be a good thing to do, but to adapt it for the whole grid instead of just the top 10.
I agree. Right. I think the fact that it's only the top... I was largely ambivalent about it because it wasn't the entire grid. I think if you're going to do it, it should be the whole grid. Because, one thing I'm not too clear on, so if someone outside of the top 10 gets the fastest lap...
then no one gets a point.
So then, okay, fine. I didn't know if it was just whoever in the top 10 had. So, all right, fine. No, I think it should be the full grid, partly for what you just said there. Because I guarantee you it would have meant at the very least Fernando Alonso would have had 21 points last season.
He might have even got a point today. You never know.
Oh, I was going to say, if they did that for anyone, I can see him just kind of showing up, towards the end of a race, jumping in a T car, going out there, putting in the fastest lap and then going home just because he can.
And he's still got more points than Williams.
Oh, yes. Well, more points than McLaren at this point. Yeah. I was largely ambivalent about it, but just while watching the race, when you heard people like Bottas saying, I want 26 points today, and then Lewis going, I want that extra point. And, I liked that. I liked that the drivers were hungry for it. As I say, we'd seen in the past where you'd have like Vettel or Verstappen would want to get the fastest lap just because. But now there's a point attached to it. 21 points over the course of a season. They're definitely like going, yeah, this isn't something we can really ignore. So, I think it means we'll have less instances of just cruising at the end of a Grand Prix. Because picture it, the guys out in front, with a 20-second lead over second place, normally would be cruising. But now if you've got a back and forth going for who's going to have the fastest lap, they'll have to keep pushing. And I like that. Yeah.
I've never seen so much passion for 1 point.
I know, right? Well, again, except for Fernando Alonso over the last couple of years.
But I think it's because if you, in the olden days, if you was in 7th, or if you were in 9th, or if you're in 11th now, you'd only have one person gunning for that 10th place, or the 8th place, or the 6th place.
Yeah.
But now it's up for grabs for the top 10. So you've got 10 possible people that could get that single point, and it makes it interesting. And I'm wondering if the drivers knew that everyone else wanted it that much as well.
I think they suspected. I think they knew everyone would want it because of, it's less about the pride, I suppose, as the 21 points over the course of a season.
Yeah.
I also think it's interesting is that the Mercedes were told not to go for it. They were told, don't chase that point. And both of them ignored it.
Right.
But Ferrari did obey. So
Yeah,
I think that's kind of an interesting thing on it as well.
Yeah, Leclerc could have put some new boots on and gone for it, couldn't he? But that didn't happen. But
No.
for the love of God, if you're listening to this and want a point for pole position, stop listening. It ain't going to happen. And it's just, no, it's so wrong to think that you can give a point for pole position. And I'll give you the main reason why. I think I've said this years and years ago, and I think I've repeated it a couple of times. Tough. You're hearing it again. The FIA and the viewers and Formula One all together don't want the championship won on a Saturday.
Yeah, what do you think this is? Monaco?
I hate you. I hate you so much. Honestly, I really... You're a dick.
I'm not wrong, though. I may be a dick, but I'm not wrong.
Yeah, but then you've got the battle for the Sunday, and you haven't won any... No, you haven't won any points on the Saturday, though, haven't you? You've just checkmated everyone on the Saturday.
You just said you didn't want the races settled on the Saturday.
Yes.
Monaco, the race is settled.
No, you don't want the championship decided on the Saturday.
Well, even then it wouldn't be. There would only be 21 points on offer again.
No, it could possibly, coming down to the last race of the season, let's say, it could mathematically work out that you could win the championship by getting that extra point on the Saturday, and then with all the other points on the Sunday, you still wouldn't be able to close up. And so thus the championship is won on the Saturday, and viewing figures won't be as high as in the race.
It's a moot point because at the minute there's plenty of incentive to get on pole as it is. That incentive being if you start on pole and get away cleanly, you've more than likely won the race anyway. If we get in a situation where the racing is a lot more competitive, as in cars can pass more readily, and then what you might find is a situation where teams will be more likely to go for different tyre strategies, with maybe going longer at the beginning, knowing they can pass and stuff like that, and hoping to stretch out the tyre life. Then, if you've got cars who will deem that as an advantage, you might have them not wanting to go for pole to be on the softer tyres. That's when it might make sense to look at something like that. I'm not saying they will. I'm saying it might make sense to look at it. But at the minute, there's enough incentive to go for pole as is. And Monaco, because it sucks.
Yeah. We'll get there. Don't worry. We'll get there in May. Don't worry. But yeah, I don't want it for pole. I'm really happy for it for the fastest lap, and I think that's a good addition.
But I would like it, much like yourself, for the entire grid.
Yes.
I want to see whoever's in 17th place go, fuck it, come in, put on the softest tyres he can, and go hell for leather to try and get the fastest lap, because screw you guys, I got a point.
Exactly, yes. That'd be so cool. That'd be awesome. Anyway, right, I'm going to jump into the race weekend. I'm not going to go through free practice or anything like that, because you can either catch it, and there are a couple of instances, but nothing really worth talking about because it didn't really affect the rest of the weekend. So straight on to qualifying. We had no real dramas coming up for the qualifying. Oh, I think no, No real dramas at all. We lost in Q1, Kubica, Russell, Sainz, Gasly, which was, I think, the major, oh, hang on, what's going on here moment of that session. And I did have a little laugh. Stroll.
Yeah,
Stroll.
I might have chuckled a little bit at that.
It was.
In fact, it might have been that picture of J. Jonah Jameson, just kind of.
Yeah. So we lost them in the first session. Q2, who did we lose out? Oh no, in the Q1 we also lost. Red Bull were out qualified by both Toro Rossos, which is a bit okay. And Kubica tapped the wall, thus ripping off one of his wheels and apparently screwing up a couple of people's laps.
Well, it ruined his fast lap for one thing. It spoiled Carlos Sainz's lap because he was on a flyer.
And possibly Stroll's as well, I think.
Probably
Gasly.
You can make that argument if you want.
Yeah. Q2, we lost Kvyat, Giovinazzi, Albon, Ricciardo, and Hulkenberg as well. Ricciardo, and Hulkenberg as well. And that was, I was quite surprised to lose both Renaults there. I was expecting them to be a lot further forward, but I think during the whole weekend they'd looked a bit slow, surprisingly slow.
I think it's worth stating, and maybe we'll restate this before we get onto the race proper, but this circuit is really not representative of where the cars are for the season. No, you're right. I mean, I think just before McLaren fell off their cliff, they won here. And we were all going, hey, it's going to work out all right for McLaren. And then just nope. So, this is a very strange circuit. It's only really used this weekend for the racing and the support races. It's a street circuit. So it's a street circuit, but it's not used for everyday running. So it's a very strange circuit, and it's just really not representative. So what we see here doesn't necessarily mean that when we get to the next race, which is Bahrain, is going to be that. If that makes sense. So, but yeah, I maybe would have expected at least one of the Renaults to perhaps get into Q3, but I wasn't, overly shocked that they didn't make it. Because really, I feel they're kind of pegging it with a Haas at the minute, and both Haas's made it through. So, I mean, we'll get into Q1 in a second, but the biggest shock for me there was Lando.
What, making it through to Q3? Yeah, that was a nice surprise. That was, hang on, this is quite good. I was pleasantly surprised with his performance, and he was quiet about it as well. He wasn't blaring about it. He wasn't, I'm going to win the race now. I'm all the way up here. He didn't look shocked. He was just, no, do you know what? Turned up, did my job. Thank you very much. And I thought he did really well.
I think he was shocked. I think the entire team was shocked, especially after Sainz went out in Q1, sorry. But yeah, fair play to him. He got himself not only into Q3, but he wasn't 10th. And this wasn't a case of other cars just sitting it out because they can't be bothered. He legitimately out-qualified Kimi Räikkönen and Sergio Perez.
Yeah, that's right. And they're not small names.
Oh, God, no.
No, Räikkönen's got quite a few letters in it. But, they're not slouchers, are they? At all, by any means. But Lando did. I thought he turned in a great lap for it as well. Mm-hmm. But on the first lap, it was first blood to Bottas, who I think he was nearly half a second in front of Hamilton on his first run. And then, once again, I don't know where it came from, but Hamilton got the pole position. And that Mercedes, all the way through the practices and qualifying, looked quite jittery. It looked as if it was like a cat on a hot floor. Whereas all the other cars looked quite planted and able to roll around in the corners. That was a bit twitchy, but it seemed to suit it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't know what we were expecting because, throughout testing, Ferrari have seemed like they had a good amount of pace in hand. There was even talks that even though Ferrari were out ahead of the Mercedes, they might even be sandbagging. There was like, oh, well, Ferrari is so far ahead. They're just, toying with everyone. And we were expecting Ferrari to kind of come here and just dominate. And all the way through the practice sessions, even though Ferrari weren't setting the world on fire, everyone was still going, yeah, they're saving it. They're just saving it for quali. Saving it for quali. Saving it for the pole lap. Saving it for... guys.
About now. Drop them sandbags now.
Yeah. And now. Whoops. So that was a shock. So we're kind of in this strange position where I believe this was the 6th consecutive pole for Hamilton.
On this circuit, yeah.
No. From end of last year.
Oh, okay. Right.
So we're kind of, he's had like 5 or 6 consecutive poles, and we're shocked that he's on pole here. Because it was like, we did not expect that.
Well, I think we knew that Mercedes was sandbagging because they didn't really turn it on during testing, did they? And when you don't turn it on like that, you're clearly hiding something. Whereas Ferrari were stating that they weren't coming out and saying it, but they were letting the world say they're the ones to be beat.
I don't think Mercedes was sandbagging, but I think it's a combination of this circuit being different, as we've already said. It's kind of a little outlier, and of this being a very well-oiled machine in terms of a team that knows how to turn up on a race circuit. I don't know if you've been following on Autosport, but they've been doing this whole series at the minute about the Brawn team, which won the championship 10 years ago.
Right.
Just to make everyone feel old. That was 10 years ago. But that's this team. And this was kind of the genesis of that team being able to become a championship winning team. Because although they'd been Honda and BAR before that, and I think if you go back far enough, they were Tyrrell, was it?
Yeah, Tyrrell.
But it was Ross Brawn putting this team together then that kind of got to this point. And most of the guys who were there 10 years ago are still there today. And so you got like Andrew Shovlin, who's I think Hamilton's race engineer, or was but he was there. And it's like, this is just a team, and these are drivers just know how to turn up and do their job. There's no drama. There's no kind of no need to I don't think they felt pressured to prove they could win here, because I mean the last couple of years, they've not typically done well here. We've had, Bottas went out in qualifying last year with a crash. Hamilton, there was the whole issue with the spark plug a couple of years ago not being on properly.
Yep.
So I kind of think they view Australia as a bit of a bogey circuit. So they kind of turn up here thinking, let's just get it out of the way and we'll get on with it.
Yeah.
So, because of that, I think they were able to just get their heads down and do the job.
Right. Well, anyway, Lewis Hamilton did end up with the pole position from Valtteri Bottas.
Yeah, he did.
Shall I run down the top 10? I might as well, eh?
May as well.
In third position, somehow, Sebastian Vettel was third. Max Verstappen, fourth in a Honda. Well, Red Bull Racing Honda. Charles Leclerc was in fifth position. Romain Grosjean in the Haas was sixth in front of his teammate Kevin Magnussen. In seventh, Lando Norris, as we've already said, in the McLaren in eighth. Kimi Raikkonen in the Alfa in ninth. And Sergio Perez in the Racing Point in 10th position. So moving on to just before I say anything, I think, I forget who pointed it out to me. It's gone. But someone pointed it out to me on Twitter. The 107% rule was, it was 127.7 on this circuit. Robert Kubica qualified in 126.0, and that's 105%. So they're getting close. There could be we could have a situation where Williams might have to ask to race this year.
Well, that's going to be embarrassing, isn't it?
That is, yes.
I think we've kind of put the boot into Williams enough at the minute, but
yeah, I know. You got to point these things out.
We do. I mean, it's funny listening to an old episode that we did a while back where we were saying,
"Oh, you're narcissist."
Tis not me, tis the wife who enjoys listening. But it was. We were speculating that maybe it's time to put the 107% rule away because, this was back when you still had HRTs racing and they were still regularly running in the 107%. And, that was really there for when you had teams which, just couldn't, they'd turn up for the first time on a Friday, wouldn't qualify on the Saturday, and the team was gone the following week. And it went away for a while, and then it came back when they brought in Caterham and HRT and Manor. And, I wasn't sure if it was still enforced or not. I guess it still is. But, yeah, if I mean, that's kind of the last. I mean, he's not dead yet, but if that is the case, I think Frank Williams will be pre-rolling in his grave.
That would be, yeah. That would be, okay, right, flip the table. That's it. I'm off.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, let's get on to the race because, okay, I should have asked you at the very beginning of this show, but what did you think of the race?
It's always a strange one because it's the first race of the season. So there's a certain amount of excitement, maybe. Anticipation is probably a better word. It's in Australia. I love Australia. I love Melbourne. So there's a certain amount of nostalgia there. But it just never seems to deliver. I don't think I can, I think this goes back to something I said last year, perhaps. I don't think I can name a classic Australian Grand Prix.
I can't think of any on the top of my head.
Not certainly not Albert Park, maybe Adelaide, but I can't think of any classic ones here. It's because of its nature, the fact it's only used a few times a year, and because the cars fundamentally cannot pass here. We did see some passes, but it's a circuit that is very, very difficult to pass at. And I know that's more down to the cars from the circuit, but we're stuck with these cars for the minute. So, that's kind of what it is. It just felt a bit flat. And it doesn't help that it's at 5 o'clock in a sodding morning. And I can't text anyone to bitch about it because he's still in bed.
Don't you dare. Honestly, don't you dare. You'll get short shrift from me. I promise you that. But for me, it is... I've always looked forward to it. I think last year I wasn't really that fussed about it. I'd lost all that feeling, all that anticipation, all the excitement. That loving feeling? Yeah, lost that loving feeling. That loving feeling.
You'd lost that loving feeling, now it's gone?
It's gone. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
It's gone. Whoa, 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 yes. If we keep doing that, we'll have to pay some royalties to someone.
I was looking forward to it, not as much as previous years, but it has that. I know at the very end of the season we have that school's out type feeling. This is like the school's in, and you're excited to see all your mates again, and you're getting your timetable, and you're not really doing any lessons, but you're in school.
I tell you what, though, this time out, we'll turn up for school, and I found out one of my favourite teachers isn't here.
Yep.
And I've also found out all the other teachers are taking stupid pills.
And there's lots of new kids around. What the hell's going on?
Yeah.
But I quite enjoyed it. Thank goodness for Giovinazzi and his Truly train. Because that and Norris were really good. I felt watching Norris was really good. Giovinazzi helped a lot. Having Daniel Kvyat going off the road and then coming back on and causing problems for Red Bull later on, I thought that was really good as well. I enjoyed all that. Up the front, when the fastest lap started coming into effect, I really enjoyed that. But it didn't set the world alight. It's definitely not the best race you're ever going to see, but it's not one of the worst races you're ever going to see either.
Yeah, that's true. And while I did think, Giovinazzi gave a masterclass in how to make your car as wide as possible, it did mean Stroll ended up finishing ahead of Perez. So I don't think I can forgive him for that.
Well, he's going to score points. He's in a good car, isn't he?
No, unacceptable. Unacceptable. We laid out a narrative last year that Stroll was going to suck. And I will not have him proving us wrong.
God damn it, he's proving you wrong by jumping 4 or 5 places up from where he should be.
Exactly. just bang out of order, damn it. Bang out of
Shame
order.
on you. Oh dear. But I enjoyed it. I think I was watching more Danny Ricciardo and what happened to him than once I'd worked out what had happened to him. Because for some reason, when the lights went out and they all took off, his yellow nose just popped out and you're like, oh, okay, something's going to happen there. And all of a sudden he just lost his wing on a pothole, which dug into the ground.
Yeah, it was a gutter or something, and apparently. And I hate to kind of, bring it back to the beginning, but it just seems like that's the sort of thing I feel Charlie would have been on. That's kind of what he was there for.
I don't think that would have. I still think we would have had that incident.
Perhaps, but it's the sort of thing. Because do you recall? I think it was. I can't. There was a circuit where it sucked up the manhole covers. The
drains, yeah.
The drains. It's almost that sort of a thing. It's
like Malaysia, wasn't it?
Something like that. And it just, I don't feel going that much on the grass should result in you losing a wing like that. And more terrifying, I don't think running over that wing should cause it to fly 20 feet in the air.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Because Kubica went over it.
I don't think he did.
He did. He did, because he launched that thing into the sky.
No, that was his nose.
That was his nose, was it?
That was his nose. He'd already broken his nose in turn 1.
I thought he'd gone over Ricciardo's one and launched that. I didn't realise he's lost his. That's even more terrifying then.
No, okay. Daniel Ricciardo went over this this drain, which then had a little lump of grass. Now, we've seen this years gone by with the is it Timo Glock that flew through the air when he ran wide and hit a bump and threw him up in the air. But it ripped off his nose and it flew off to his right-hand side.
Yeah.
Kubica was on his left, behind him, but on his left. Now, bits might have fallen off and damaged Kubica's nose. I don't know. I haven't seen that footage. But the footage you see of the wing flying up in the air has the Williams logos on it and all the sponsors on it. That was the Williams wing flying up in the air.
Okay. Fine. But anyway, wings like that should not fly, ironically.
No, they're supposed to do the exact opposite of that, aren't they?
Yes.
They're supposed to fly downwards.
They are supposed to stop that happening. So, yeah, we've got 2 cars missing wings at that point, and at that point I was just like, God damn it, Danny. God damn it. Yeah.
He can't get a break. Even when he does end up on the podium, he gets kicked off.
You had one job. Just one. So yeah, there was that, and I could already hear the wah-wahs from there. And it's just a huge shame because he's a nice bloke, and I feel he deserves better. But c'est la vie, that is racing. And so, alas, poor Danny. We knew him Horatio. I mean, he made it into the pits, but I just think the damage to the car was pretty terminal at that point. He'd lost. There was damage to the floor. There was damage to the barge boards on the side. He ended up circulating around at the back for half a dozen laps, I think it is. He did 28 laps in total.
Right.
But then they retired the car because, it was a mess.
They wanted to save the engine, and I suppose a bit of crap had gotten into the side pods. They probably saw temperatures spiking a little bit and just wanted to cut their losses.
You just reminded me of something I forgot to mention at the beginning. There was no engine penalties this...
No, although, hang on, Stroll did get a penalty, though, at some point, I think for speeding in the pit lane.
Oh, well, it wasn't applied to his qualifying time, whatever it was.
No, that's right, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, they retired that. Also, just wanted to, again, while we're still talking about the start, acknowledge the lightning start Bottas had away. Mm-hmm. If anyone had watched the post-race interviews, you'll know he's been spiking his porridge with something. And whatever it was, it lit a fire under him, and boom, boy was gone.
Yeah, he just dropped it, didn't he? He was gone, and that's what I was surprised at, because I was looking at Danny in his start and the carnage that he was causing at the back. I remember, okay, right. I'm processing what he's just done, and let's get back to the race. Bottas is in the lead. What happened there? I totally missed that move that he had. I didn't see him getting into the first corner first. I was looking for something to happen at the back.
Yeah, I saw him. I just saw his, Hamilton bogged down a bit. Although he didn't really bog down, it just seemed like he did. Mm. But yeah, Bottas was gone and he was away. I think I know why though.
Okay.
Well,
tinfoil hat time?
No, it's even better than that. I think what they've done is they've installed a CD player into his car, and he's been listening to Lewis Hamilton's mix tracks.
Right. Now, does that make him angry or happy?
Yes.
Okay.
At the same time.
Okay. That's an interesting thought, I suppose.
You can't disprove it. That's all I'm saying.
No, that's true. That's true. Well, since we're on Danny, and because he retired, let's go for the other retirees as well before we get on to anything else. Carlos Sainz ended up with an engine blow up.
No, he didn't. He ended up with a barbecue. But I don't know when the last time we saw a fire like that, because I'm sure you spotted this as well. The fire was so intense, it melted and cracked the paint on the engine cover.
You saw it bubbling, didn't you?
You saw it bubbling and doing all the spider webbing, and you had the smoke pouring out of the front airbox. There
was just Australians throwing shrimps at the car, just trying to get it on there. Go, no, don't waste it. Don't waste that heat.
Right. I got to correct you here, as someone who has been to Australia. They don't call them shrimps; they're prawns. Okay, let's just be clear here. It's prawns. And you don't do them on a barbecue, okay?
I know, it's an obvious joke, mate. It has to be done, though. I'm sorry.
I like to think that we rise above the petty jokes. Okay. And let's get back to making fun of McLaren and Renault.
Okay.
So very quickly, his car goes kablooey.
Yeah.
And I have to feel that somewhere Fernando Alonso suddenly leans back, throws his head back, and J. Jonah Jameson laughs at that moment, going, ha ha ha, because that used to be my car.
Yeah, I wonder if that would have been his car. It probably would have been, wouldn't it?
Oh yeah, it would have been his car, yeah.
Yeah. Oh well.
So, yeah, he was out, and huge shame. MG UK failure, apparently, to put it mildly. I suspect they might have to use one of their engine jokers, because I think that one might be a bit crispy.
I think so, yes. I don't know what they're going to be able to salvage from that, because that was either piping hot, burning, crispy, as you said, or covered in powder now.
Yeah.
Or all of the above as well.
All of the above. I don't know what the engine penalty things is for this year either. I know they've said they want to find a way where it won't impact the driver so much. Mm-hmm. So we might have something new or different going on through this year. And speaking of that, I very quickly need to just sidebar to something we mentioned in the liveries episode.
Yeah.
The tyres.
Oh, okay, yeah.
They only called them the soft, medium and hard.
They did. I was surprised.
Oh, that was great.
I wonder if there was like a memo that went round.
Saying Elton doesn't like it.
Yeah, please don't call them C5s and C3s and C1s. That's not going to wash. Just soft, medium, and hard. And
you see, ironically, I can guarantee you, if Ted had been there, he would have told us which compounds were which.
Yep, and we would have been going, don't do that. It's confusing everything.
I don't think it would have been. I think he'd have told us, because I'm genuinely curious to know which the compounds were. I just don't need to hear it repeatedly every time they talked about it.
Yeah.
We just didn't get that at all. But anyway, I just thought while we were there talking about rule changes and tyres, that was worth mentioning.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
No, that's fine. That's cool. Who else retired? Romain Grosjean tired.
Was it a bit of deja vu going on there, eh?
Certainly was. So he came in for a pit stop. Hang on, what lap I don't know what lap he came in at. But he came in for a pit stop and he had a slow front left. Now this is exactly the same thing that happened to him last year, where he had a slow front left and he had to retire because the wheel, the nut had got cross-threaded. Now, there's no proof that it got cross-threaded today because it did another 15 laps before it fell off. But the same front, we saw the slow pit stop because we were in there. And then when we saw the car grind to a halt, he said the suspension had failed, and we saw the wheel wobbling around going, no, that's not suspension, man. That is your wheel trying to remove itself from the car. So I feel really sorry for him. I don't want to because I've kind of gone off of him, but I felt really sorry for him. That's not on. That's just not on. And I think before the race, I think Martin interviewed, who's the dude that runs it? I can see his moustache and face. Yeah.
Gunther Steiner.
And he interviewed him and asked him, is there going to be a repeat? He went, no, it's not going to be a repeat. We've been doing practicing and stuff like that. Oh, okay, fine. Excellent.
I know what happened.
Okay.
All I'm saying is, somewhere in the paddock was Marcus Ericsson with a model of a Haas and like a voodoo doll of Grosjean. And after a few laps, he just kind of pulled the front wheel off.
I can see that. Yeah. Just blaming him for it.
You can't prove it didn't happen. So
that's going to be your motto for the year, isn't it?
Pretty much, yeah. You can't prove it didn't happen.
Yeah. So I feel sorry for him. How do you feel about that?
I mean, yeah. On the one hand, I do feel sorry for him. On the other hand, it's Grosjean. But it's a shame. I mean, he kind of took it in good graces, and that's all fair enough. I've been watching the Netflix series. It's been they were filming all of last year.
Yep.
And the first episode is all about the Australian Grand Prix, and they follow the Haas team when it happened then, when it happened to Magnussen and to him. So it was quite fresh in my mind when I saw it happening there, and I did feel very bad for the team.
I like that phone call that he has to make.
Yeah, it's funny that is.
Without giving anything away, he has to make a phone call to Gene Haas.
Yeah.
Yeah, we fucked up. What can we do?
Yeah.
That was brilliant. I haven't seen any more because I haven't been really pulled into that series, but I'm sure we'll talk about that at a later date anyway. So.
Well, I've done the first two. We'll have a quick chat about it at the very end, I think. But yeah, I mean, sorry it happened. You know, you don't want to see casual mistakes like that do it. It's very strange it lasted as long as it did because it's usually the wheel's either on or it's off. So that it did 15 odd laps before it failed, you know, that tells me it's a different sort of problem where it's like, well, is there a problem with either the hub or the gun that they're going to have a look at now? Yeah.
Yeah, you'd imagine that wheel would have fallen off one lap in, or he would have known as soon as he got out of his box.
I mean, I think the reason they had a problem with the front left is because there was a problem with the wheel.
Yeah.
And the problem is what led to the wheel coming off. I don't think it came off because they made a mistake in the pit stop.
Gotcha. No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Grosjean lost his wheel again. Horrible sense of deja vu.
Yep.
There you go. But that, I think, was the last of retirements, wasn't it?
Yeah, there was only 3 this time round.
So, and no safety car this time out, which, again, a bit of a rarity here in Australia. But I know why that is as well. Well, Alonso wasn't racing.
Ah, there you go. Yeah.
That's a tradition, typically. And his car caught fire before he could have the accident. So there's that. What else was there?
I thought there was some good little battles. We had Hulkenberg versus Magnussen at one point, throwing dummies around all over the place and getting close. A lot of people trying to go around the outside. Round the outside on turn 3. Yeah. And it wasn't sticking, but it's good to see that I know that it's at the end of a DRS zone, but it's good to see that they're trying to do that. And I think it was Norris, was he trying to go around the outside there as well?
Oh yeah, he was desperate to try and get by Giovinazzi there. As you say, channeling the spirit of Gianna Trulli.
The old Trulli train's back again for 2019. Definitely.
Oh, it really was. But you got to respect. Defending is part of the game, and he did it really well. Although it did get to the point where you're like, okay, you've got no rubber there whatsoever. You're skating around. Just put yourself out of your misery and pit.
Yeah, there was a couple of times where he was laying big fat 11 down on the floor, and you're like, you're not going anywhere. You're just making lots of noise and lots of smoke, and you're not going forward enough. So I think as a driver, he should. Maybe it's because he's such a young driver or inexperienced, and he doesn't really want to tell the team what he's doing. But at that point, you're only going to go backwards anyway, and you've got a train of cars behind you, so you're going to lose 5 or 6 cars straight away. So maybe that is the time, and get them new boots on as soon as you can.
I think it hurt him fundamentally because he ended up finishing about 15th, but I think he should have probably pitted maybe 2 or 3 laps earlier before it started hurting him as much as it did.
Yeah,
because at that point, then you costed yourself time. So, and I know you're trying to stretch it out, so you got less of a stint to do on the other ones. But yeah, the only people behind him were the Williams, and I mean,
well, yeah, exactly. Let's not kick them again.
It was kicking a puppy at this point. So,
what about Max versus Vettel?
Well, yeah, I mean, let's talk about the Red Bull and the Hondas. Did very well, but I think, quite frankly, we expected them to. Red Bull know how to make a very fast car. They always have.
Yeah.
And Honda made big strides last year with Toro Rosso. There was a small scare, I think, with Gasly in one of the practice sessions in terms of a reliability thing, but it proved to not be an issue, so that was fine. But yeah, I mean, Verstappen, he was very punchy, very quick. Vettel just didn't seem to have pace today. I don't know if it was pace or confidence or what it was, but whatever it was, he didn't have it.
I don't know whether he was nursing something or not, because there was a point where he was about 10 seconds in front of Charles Leclerc. And we went on board with him, and he was lifting off way too early going into the corners. He was physically trundling down to the corner. And you're like, okay, you're not applying brakes. I know you could be harvesting, but this was way too early. And it was as if he'd already given up. And I think this is around about halfway through maybe just over halfway through the race.
He did pit the tyres quite early, didn't he? Because he tried to do the undercut on Lewis, and then Lewis responded. And then it was like another 7 laps before Bottas, and in those 7 laps, I think he set about 5 fastest laps. Anyway. But I don't think the undercut worked. Well, it clearly didn't work, since Bottas still ended up ahead of him.
Yeah.
But it might have been a tyre thing. Maybe the car wasn't working with the tyres as well.
The Ferrari just looked like it was pulling a caravan behind it constantly.
Yeah.
It just didn't look fast. I think from the very get-go as well, Mercedes were in a league of their own.
Well, one of them was.
Well, I still think both of them were.
I don't know. I feel Bottas found that certain something, what the French say, I don't know what. And I don't know if it was just because it was Bottas, all respect to Bottas, but it was like, well, where did this come from? This, if you were doing this last year, no one would be this year, keep cutting to that shot of Ocon in the garage playing the Jaws music, which is just, effectively what they were doing. So yeah, he emphatically laid down a marker, which was great. Lewis, we learned afterwards, allegedly, apparently, had some floor damage, which obviously broke his CD player, so he couldn't listen to #Blessed, available this year in all good record stores. So he was a bit slower from about lap 4 onwards.
Yeah.
He did sound a little whiny in a couple of occasions, asking why did they pit early, saying, "Oh, I don't think these tyres are going to go to the end," and like he does sometimes when he gets his head down. But at the end of the race, he sounded very positive, very happy for the team, happy for Bottas. Didn't seem to be any of the kind of animosity used to get between him and Rosberg.
Not yet. Not yet. This is only one race.
Well, this was the point I was going to make. It's only one race, and it's a race which has typically been a little bit of a bogey for him. So I mean, was it last year? No, it was the year before where, he just had a horrible run of bad luck. And yes, he didn't win the championship that year. He lost to Rosberg, but really he lost it in Malaysia when that engine blew up when he was in the lead.
Yeah.
So, he's not overly worried yet. If anything, I expect he's very relieved that the car was as competitive as it was compared to where they perhaps were pegging themselves to be.
I think he's pretty relaxing about it. He's seen Bottas go off and he knows the car's got pace. He knows he's sitting in the fastest car. He knows that if he has a bad day like he did today, a little bit off, he's still got a car that can potentially get to a podium.
Well, he still walked away with 18 points.
Exactly, yeah.
And he probably still pegs Vettel as his chief rival.
I think Vettel's looking at that going, well, it's not me. I think it's going to be Bottas and possibly Verstappen.
Well, we'll see. One race does not a reliable engine make.
No, I think Honda may... There's still another 20 races to go, aren't there? So there's a long, long way to go and not many engines to go through that as well. So
yeah,
we've got lots of failures in front of us, I feel.
We do. And let's not forget if we do start seeing issues. You can tell when things are going to start going south with Honda and Mercedes and Red Bull. When Christian Horner goes and he kind of crosses out the Honda badge on the side and writes Timex there instead. And they'll be powered by a Timex engine.
It's like when people go into, I don't know, TV shows and Big Brother and stuff like that, and they have to put on like sellotape that covers over like the Honda badge. He's like, nope, I don't know who you're on about. Honestly, come on, let's get a Mercedes in the back of this car.
Well, so yeah, that was Red Bull pretty much.
But they made it to the podium. I think that's amazing.
No, it's very good, but I have to keep adding this caveat that this circuit I don't think is representative of where the cars are. I don't want to take away from Red Bull or Verstappen because we'll get letters, angry letters in Dutch, and I don't read Dutch, and I don't like getting angry letters in Dutch. But what I think here is they did really well, and that's great, but I think we need to see how, because they brought forward an update they were going to bring to China,
right,
to here because they felt they'd be competitive, which is great. I don't know if we're going to see the same come next week. We always knew this year it was still going to be a season of two sides where you've got Mercedes, Ferrari, and Red Bull on one side, and then everyone else on the other. It's just the question is, where do the top three kind of sit in relation to each other? Yeah. Now, coming into this, we all thought Ferrari were at the top, and then there was a chance Red Bull were level pegging with Mercedes. Coming away from here, it looks like it's Mercedes, Red Bull, Ferrari. But don't know if that's the full story yet. We will have to wait and see.
No, exactly. One race does not make the season, does it? But I feel that Max did a really... This time last year, he was making mistakes all the way through the very front end of the season, wasn't he? And we haven't had that straight off the bat. So that's good. And I thought his move on Vettel was really good and solid. He didn't look like he was causing anyone any issues. No one was there to touch him. He was pressuring Hamilton towards the end. He made a slight mistake going off the road there, but that's, I don't know. I don't know what that is. I don't know where that silly mistake came from, but it didn't cause him any, he could still carry on in the race and still finish a strong third.
Yeah.
So I think that's good. We need Max to be up there.
Yes, we do.
What a waste it would be if he was down in the mid-pack. It would be such a waste.
Absolutely. We need... frankly, it seems like a lifetime ago, and I think it was maybe... Was it 2010 or 2011 where we had like seven winners in 7 races?
That... 2012 that was.
Yeah. I want that. Bring that back.
I want that, yeah. That'd be great if we get a new winner next time out, and then another winner the next time out. That'd be brilliant. I love that.
Yeah, and that's what we want to see. We don't want to see someone just stomping away with it. No, because the absolute worst thing is if one team, one driver just romps away, and then by the time we get to a mid-season break, it's like, well, championship's all but wrapped up. The driver can piss off, go home, just turn up for the last race to collect his trophy, and it's all a good one.
Yeah.
So don't want to see that. Gasly wasn't as close as some people were pegging him to be.
No. No, he was way off it, I think.
Do you think that was just a case of inexperience, like nerves and stuff?
I think a little bit of inexperience. Well, no, because he's already had a whole season, hasn't he? So maybe the step up. I don't know. It could be a number of things. I feel that he was caught back a little bit by going out in, was it Q1 again? Yeah. Q1. Mm-hmm. So that put him on the back foot straight off. And so I think trying to get near the points was going to be a bit of a task. He nearly did it. He was in the points at one point, but then Daniel Kvyat overtook him once again. And do you know what? I'm glad that Red Bull didn't insist that Toro Rosso let them through.
Well, I don't think they had a huge amount of pull in that. I think it was something Crofty said, if you had to go and tell Frank Tost to go and tell one of his drivers to move out of the way, you'd want to be behind a rather large sandbag or something like that.
Yeah.
Because
something bulletproof, at least.
Something bulletproof, because I don't think that conversation would end terribly well for you.
And maybe like with a phone on either end of the glass as well.
Yes. So I don't think that was something that was seriously being considered. Certainly not at this stage of the race, and certainly not, if it's a case of, if you're in a tight battle for the championship, and every point counts at that point, fine, but not in race 1.
No.
No. I also think there's a lot of expectation on him because he was being hailed as a wunderkind last year, the new Max Verstappen, if you will. And you know what else I think probably didn't help?
Go on.
The fact that the person he's driving with is the guy who's been fired twice by Red Bull for upsetting their plans and not performing right.
Right,
and,
gotcha.
That's just a driving reminder of what happens if you mess up.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Okay, going back to the sharp end, because I think we covered everything, really, haven't we?
Well, I was just going to touch on the fact that Kvyat, fair play, came back. Where did he finish in the end?
10th.
Came back, got a point.
Yeah.
It was a lot more of the Kvyat that we perhaps saw when he first came into Formula One, less so than when we saw him last in Formula One.
Yeah. And I know he's had a year out. He was with Ferrari, but didn't really do anything with them. But I suppose he needed that break. But he seemed towards the end of the last stint that he had. We all noticed that he was really down, really down. He was proper low in like mental health, and he's just like a nice, freshly coloured button. he looks. He had a kind of swagger and a spring in his step when I saw him walking down the pit lane and being interviewed. He looked good. He looked good, and I think we needed him there. We need a good Kvyat. I think he's got potential. And he clearly has, because he's been in the Red Bull. And so he's made that flight. Could he do it again, though?
Absolutely, he could do it again. Will he do it again?
Possibly not.
It kind of depends on Gasly. And even at that point, I don't know if he'd want to do it. Just because, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me.
Yeah.
So I don't know if we'd see that again. But yeah, fair play to him. Scored a point. And while we're still down here at the back end, and loath as I am to admit it, let us acknowledge that Mr. Lance Stroll scored 2 points ahead of Sergio Perez.
Yeah.
I will add the following caveats. Perez got stuck in that Truly train behind Norris and everything. So,
yeah, he did, but he didn't score a point though, did he? But
no, he didn't.
We'll see the next race. As we keep saying, this is a totally different circuit to everything else. So,
yes,
the real season, even though points were handed out here, starts next time out.
Well, to be fair, the real season doesn't really kick off until
Europe.
But let's be nice to those outside of the core races, as it were.
Yeah. No, I think I didn't see much of Stroll, but I think that's what he can do. He can just get in that position and just calmly. If you hear too much of Stroll, that means he's doing stuff wrong.
Yes.
There's never a, wow, that was an amazing move, but it's always, oh, look what he's done. But this time out, it was nice and keep your head down, get some points for Dad's team. And that's what he did. So that was good. But yeah, going back to the sharp end, Valtteri Bottas. I feel that he blew everyone away today. He just had it. What did he finish? 20 seconds in front of Lewis. And I think that's the biggest margin that Lewis has been beaten for a long time, isn't it?
I definitely think so. I mean, certainly there's been instances where he's finished back in the field and, Rosberg or whoever's finished, or won the race. But just in terms of a straight fight, bringing home a 1-2, this was certainly the biggest spanking he's received in quite a while.
Well, yeah, going into this as well, Lewis had been fastest on every single session.
Mm-hmm.
And then come the race, Valtteri he kicked everyone's arse.
It's that porridge, mate, I'm telling you.
Yeah. I don't know. I hope we get more of this. We need this. If we're going to have a championship fight, I don't think it's going to be between Mercedes and Ferrari. It's going to be into Mercedes again. And we need someone strong to bring it to Hamilton.
Well, I really don't want it to just be between Mercedes again.
No.
But I know what you're saying, but I don't want that to be the case. But it's going to be interesting if that is the case. Because I tell you that, nobody saw this coming at all.
I didn't, no way.
Not just between us. Nobody. I don't even think Bottas saw, or maybe Bottas felt he could do it. I mean, did you hear his radio message after he crossed the line?
No.
He basically said, to who it may concern, fuck you.
Oh, I read about this. I missed that. So
they didn't broadcast it, apparently. But
right.
This is what he said as he crossed the line. He won't tell us who he's talking to, but we have to assume there is some haters or doubters or critics or something, and he's just flipped a very emphatic bird at them.
Wow. I'd love to know who that is.
Oh, absolutely.
I want him to do that every race now. I want him to win again, so we can hear him say, by the way, it's like Weatherspoons. When Weatherspoons opens another pub, he takes that teacher to every single opening because he said he'd amount to nothing. It's just one of them. But, okay, I wonder who that was. That must be like a journalist somewhere.
I think it might be us.
Yeah, okay.
Although, to be fair, we've been a lot harsher to a lot of other people. So I think we were pretty mild to Bottas last season.
I think we were, but sometimes we can come on a bit strong. But we make no apologies for that. We make no apologies.
Full stop. No.
Okay, so is there anything else you'd like to mention, or should we wrap it up here?
Couple of things. Shiny tyres.
Yes.
They were very shiny.
Well, they've been shiny all the way through testing as well, haven't they?
Yeah, but I didn't really notice it until they were here, and they just seemed very strange. They were very shiny tyres.
You know where that comes from?
It's the releasing compound, isn't it?
Well, what I heard through testing is that they have their tyres and they want them to come out perfect. And so they chrome the inside of the mould. They've chromed it now.
Uh-huh.
So it's perfectly smooth. And so you don't have little bits being left inside the mould itself. And so that's why they come out so shiny, because they're so smooth. From
you know who would have been good to give us this information in the race? Ted fucking Kravitz.
Yeah, I think they did mention it during the race, but it was also noted during testing at one point. I think I might have caught it on like a YouTube thing. So, But yeah, I think they look cool. I think it's interesting on how they scuff up real quick as well.
Yeah, I think it also helps identify when it is new tyres or scrub tyres.
Oh man, don't you miss the days of the stickers?
I really do. It's the only way you can tell what was what.
He's put some stickers on, and then within a lap they're gone. Like, brilliant! Yeah, I loved that.
that was really cool. Not really mentioned much about Raikkonen, but I thought he did very well.
I didn't see much of him, to be honest.
Didn't see much of him, but ended up finishing 8th in the Alpha. It's Giovinazzi ended up 15th, and obviously it was a difference there, but it's pretty much where I would picture of him finishing if he was in the Ferrari, almost. You could see a 7th or an 8th for Kimi, and you probably wouldn't have batted an eyelid.
Yeah, I suppose, yeah. It wouldn't have looked out of place, would it?
Exactly. So that was kind of impressive. Charles Leclerc, we didn't really touch on, towards the end, he got very close to Vettel, and we were wondering, is he going to go for the fastest lap? Mm. From what I gather, he asked permission to pass Vettel and was told no, and then asked for permission to go for the fastest lap and was told no again, because they just didn't want to risk losing 4th and 5th.
Right.
They had like guaranteed points, and they were worried if they start passing or start going for fastest laps or anything like that, something could go wrong and they'd be out. They just wanted to consolidate points this time out and leave it at that. He actually made a very good pass in corner 1 at the opening.
Yes, he nearly went round the outside of Vettel, didn't he?
Yeah, which I just thought was very cool. So I quite liked that. Slightly miffed they're still doing the interview straight out of a car.
Okay, that's another thing. That's not Sky. That's the whole circus itself.
Yeah,
isn't
I wasn't doing that because this is something that the circus does. But what it occurred to me is, because I don't know if they've always done this and I've just missed it, but they did that in Parc Ferme, and then they had Mark Webber interview Bottas on the podium.
Yeah. Because
what it occurred to me is, it's fine for us getting that straight out immediately, but the fans can't see that. If you're on the circuit, you can only see it on the monitors and the screens, whereas when it's up on the podium, at least you can see it and feel like you're part of it. So I wonder if that's why they did the thing with Webber, who was obsessed on Bottas's porridge. And that...
Can I just say one thing on that?
Yes.
I think they should either stick to one or the other. I wasn't a fan of the podium thing when they started it, but we kind of got used to it. And it kind of works. That's where the interview happens.
Yeah.
So then them doing it as soon as they get out of the car kind of shifts that sort of feeling, that end of the race and congratulations, here's your trophy type thing. I think it's too soon. It's good to get them straight out of the car, but I think it's just too soon. On the podium's the right place for it to be.
I was going to say, the next thing is going to be on the bloody cool-down lap.
Well, yeah. I don't want the interviews on the radios. I can't stand that.
No, it won't be that. You'll have whichever driver they've nominated going around in a bloody safety car, leaning out with a microphone. No,
I don't like. Oh, but don't you dare do that. But they need to decide what they want to do. They either do it in Parc Fermé or do it on the podium. Don't do both. That's just my little bugbear.
Yes. And the last point I wanted to mention, that confetti got fucking everywhere.
It was everywhere, wasn't it?
Especially Lewis's car didn't make it into the Parc Fermé garage properly because the steering circle on those things is shit.
Yeah.
So I wonder how much of that shit ended up going down into the airboxes or something.
That's a fault waiting to happen, isn't it?
Yeah. I feel that there's going to be some words will be had about that.
Yeah.
I hope it's biodegradable as well, because if not, that was kind of messed up.
You'd like to think it was.
You'd hope it was.
Okay, let's look at each other and go, yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
There we go. Cool. Right. Well, we had Valtteri winning from Lewis Hamilton in second and Max Verstappen on the podium as well. Honda's first podium since, when was it, 2008?
I believe
yeah, that was their last season, wasn't it?
Yes.
So, yeah, that's good. They are now in the position where they should have been when they first joined McLaren.
Pretty much.
This is their Spain.
It's only taken them, 4 years to get there?
Yeah. They have now made it to the podium. So congratulations, Honda. You're just 4 years too late.
I mean, this is why I'm very hesitant to give too much praise to Red Bull and Honda for doing it. I mean, it's great it's working out for them. But after... Because let's bear in mind, Honda wasn't part of this V6 era for the first year. They came in a year late, which means they had an entire year where there were no regulations and they could develop the fuck out of that engine.
Yeah.
They could have spent 24/7 on a dyno. No one could say a thing to them. That was fine and perfectly legal.
Yep.
They came in a year late to the to McLaren for much fanfare and were nowhere. They spent 2 years developing that engine to get to the point where it was just starting to become competitive and then decided to scrap the entire thing and go in a new direction. And we're all the way back at square one. So, yeah, after all that, I kind of bloody hoped Honda would be, on top of it. And with Red Bull, look, I don't doubt the technical expertise, the talent, or their drivers, but what pisses me off is their attitude.
Yeah.
They win as Red Bull, and when they fail, it's always the engine. Always. And things are going good with Honda, and Max has been very quick to say Honda's doing great and all this kind of jazz. They won 4 world championships with Renault, and by the end of it, they wouldn't even say the team's name. So, things are all hunky-dory right now with Honda. That's great. You see 3 engine failures in a row or something like that. You start seeing engine penalties. Let's see how quickly that will last. It won't last as long as it lasted with McLaren, I'll tell you that now.
No, that's right. That's right. Yeah, it'd be straight out the door, wouldn't it?
Like I said, Red Bull powered by Timex.
Yeah, exactly.
Or Casio.
Anyway.
It'll be Casio. They'll put Casio on it.
Oh, man. No, hang on. No, they got the Tag Heuer, haven't they? Yeah, so yeah, they go back to the Casio then, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Right, so I'm going to do driver standings and constructor standings, although all I've got is 5 of each in front of me at the moment.
I can do all of them if you want, because, I'm special.
if you've got them all there, might as well on the first race. Let's do them all.
Do them all. Okay, then.
Yeah.
I will start with the drivers. And I'm only doing what's classified on my sheet in front of me, which only lists 17 for some reason. How many drivers do there are? Oh, we're missing someone. I don't know. No, yeah, that's right. Because if you didn't finish, you don't get classified. So that's why they're not on the championship standing, even if it's 0 points.
Ah, I see.
So, in 17th place is Robert Kubica with 0 points. In 16th is George Russell with 0 points. 15th is Antonio Giovinazzi with 0. 14th is Alexander Albon with 0. 13th is Sergio Perez with, say it with me folks, 0.
0.
12 is Lando Norris with 0. And 11th is Pierre Gasly with 0. Then we have in 10th place Danny Kvyat with 1 point. In 9th we have Lance Stroll with 2 points. 8th is Kimi Raikkonen with 4. 7th is the Hulk with 6. 6th is Kevin Magnussen with 8. That's very confusing.
It is, isn't it? I couldn't do that.
In 5th place we have Charles Leclerc with 10. In 4th place Sebastian Vettel with 12. In 3rd place is Max Verstappen with 15th. In 2nd place Lewis Hamilton with 18 points. And in 1st place with 26 points. It's Valtteri Bottas.
Nice
and
one.
You're welcome. And in the Constructors' Championship, with 0 points is Williams. In 9th place with 0 points is McLaren. Toro Rosso at 8th with 1. 7th for Racing Point with 2. 6th for Alfa Romeo with 4. 5th for Renault with 6. 4th for Haas with 8. 3rd for Red Bull with 15th. 2nd for Ferrari with 22. And in 1st place, Mercedes with a Lewis Hamilton. I'm sorry, 44.
44. There we go. Cool.
There you go. So, yes.
Okay, well, that leads us on to our predictions from last time out. Do you remember what you went for?
I think I remember what I went for pole and the race.
Okay. Well, for pole position, I went for Vettel, and that was a 0 points. So no points for me on that one.
No.
For pole position, you went with Lewis, so you get 1 point because Lewis got the pole position. So congratulations there, mate.
1 point.
You're
sorry.
in.
I'll stop
You're
that
in.
now.
For the race, I strangely went for Leclerc.
Well, it's not as strange as what I went for.
Yeah, so I get no points for that. You went for Daniel Ricciardo.
And he would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for that pesky drain.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So you get no points for that either.
No.
But
you know what? I get just as few points for 0 as you get for yours with 0. So it's fine that he retired and you still finished.
Ugh. In the third column, we wanted to know how many retirements they're going to be. I went with 9. There were 3.
Yeah.
I think you went for 4.
Oh, so close.
So close, but yet, once again, I get no points, you get no points, but you were closer. So there we go.
Yeah, well.
Yeah. And for the fourth one as well, we went for where would Ricciardo finish? And I haven't got it written down here. I think I went for 4th.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did go for 4th, and you obviously went for the win, so we get that wrong. So, starting off the season, you have 1 point, I have no points.
Well, we've already established I've done better than Gasly, Norris, Perez, Albon, Giovinazzi, Russell and Kubica combined.
This is true, yes. So, congratulations, mate.
Oh, thank you.
Congratulations. But, because you have that point, I get to choose first for next time out at the Bahrain Grand Prix. So, have you got any information on the Bahrain Grand Prix?
I do, but I would like to point out you got to choose first for the last race as well.
Did I?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's because I lost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I always go first. Remember that season where I was going first all the time and then you won it at the end? Yes.
Yeah, that was last year. But,
have I? I haven't won one yet, have I? Between us?
No, I don't think you have.
No.
This is your Rosberg year, your Bottas year, maybe. We'll see.
Don't you dare compare me to Rosberg. How dare you? Shame on you.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
I'm actually slightly offended at that.
Only slightly. Oh, I'll work on that. I'll make you properly offended for the next time.
Right.
But I've got some details for the Bahrain Grand Prix.
Go on then.
Last time out, pole position was Sebastian Vettel, and the podium was Vettel from Bottas from Hamilton, with the fastest lap going to Bottas. In terms of overall winners, Vettel has won 4 times, Alonso has won 3, and Massa and Hamilton have won 2 apiece. Constructors, 6 from Ferrari, 3 for Mercedes, and 2 apiece for Red Bull and Renault.
Good stuff.
So yeah, Vettel has won twice with Ferrari, twice with Red Bull, and Hamilton and Rosberg all won with Mercedes. So yeah,
Okay.
there you go.
Okay. Well, since that before the liveries episode, the fastest lap wasn't thrown at us. So now I think that's going to be our 3rd column, but we can always add a 4th column onto that as well. So that the fastest lap is now thrown in there. That is
Okay.
part of the system.
So
all right?
so much like them, but first lap gives us a point. But unlike the FIA, because we are smart, we're including the entire grid.
Yes. We are choosing from everyone.
Yes.
Okay, so pole position. Who do I think would get pole position? Now, Ferrari looked sluggish today. They really did.
But as we've established, Albert Park is not representative of the rest of it. I can tell you that last year it was Vettel on pole. In 2017 it was Bottas on pole. And in 2016 it was Hamilton on pole.
Right. I think it's going to be a Mercedes on pole, but
which one?
I'm going to go for Vettel.
Okay, now I don't know how I can break this to you. It's going to come as a bit of a shock to you. But Vettel doesn't actually drive a Mercedes.
I know he
He
doesn't.
drives a Ferrari.
I know. This is the reason why I keep losing, because I keep going with my heart instead of my head. But I'm going for Vettel.
To be fair, I think that's probably a pretty good bet.
Who do you want for pole?
Ooh, I'll go with Hamilton. It's the boring answer, but
It's fine, mate. Someone has to do it.
I know.
One day, once I get too many points behind, I'll start doing the Hamilton thing just to get points.
It's true, yeah. It's the thing, you know.
It's the banker, isn't it? That's
is.
what it is.
Hashtag blessed.
Yeah. So, who do I think will win the race? Man alive, I would love Bottas to win. I'm going to put Bottas. I'm going to go for it. I'm such a dick, but I'm going for it. Yeah.
Okay. Bottas for the win, eh?
Yep.
Ooh. See, I'm torn now. Torn between Vettel and Hamilton.
Or do you want 7 different winners in 7 different races?
I want 7 different. Even if I pick either one of those, it's going to be a different winner. So
Yes, true. Well,
strokey chin. I'm going to go with Vettel.
Ooh, okay. That surprises me.
Surprised me too.
I've written it down in pen now, so we all know that can't change that.
No.
So, fastest lap.
Fastest lap.
I'll tell you what, I'll be good. Go on, you choose this one first.
No. We're not setting this sort of precedent. You get to choose first. So
Okay. I'm going to go for Verstappen then.
you're going Verstappen for fastest
Yeah.
lap.
Yeah.
I'll go with Vettel, I think.
You're going with Vettel as well.
I'm basically counting that the Ferrari is faster than we saw it this weekend.
Yeah. All your eggs in your very red basket.
Orange
Now-
basket, apparently. We actually got a message from a listener who is in Melbourne.
Oh, that's right, yes.
And he basically said, up close, in person, the cars are orange. So thank you, mysterious stranger who sent us a message, whose name I have currently forgotten.
We don't have that sort of information in front of us at the moment.
What do you think this? What do you think this is? A professional outfit?
Honestly, if I open another window on my computer, it would just die.
Yeah.
That's not happening.
No.
I'd rather it not die.
No. Oh, there you go. Duncan Gedged. I think I said that right. But he said to us, the Ferraris are a bit orange in person. So thank you for our roving reporters there. And so, yes, I'm putting all my eggs in an orange basket.
I think they're going to look awesome in the rain.
What, in Bahrain? Because I've got to tell you, if it rains in Bahrain, something's gone very wrong.
No, just in any circuit. Any circuit. But, man, wouldn't that be good?
Yeah. Are we going to have a fourth?
Happen, but...
Are we going to have a fourth category?
I don't mind. Anything spring to the top of your head at the moment. If not, then we'll just leave it at that 3 for now.
I think we'll probably leave it at 3. I mean, I can't think of anything off the top of my head. You know what you need to do? You need to make a list of what we've done in the past years. So if they were good ones, we can do them again.
Okay. I will do that. I'll get onto that.
Good man.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. We'll leave it at that for now anyway. So.
Sure.
Right. So thank you very much, Andy, for joining me for this. It's been really good.
It has. And as you said, it was a quick one.
Yeah, right. God, I've got to edit this as well. No, I've got to go to bed after that. Jeez. Right, okay, let's wrap this up then. So, Andy, thank you very much for joining me. It was a pleasure to speak to you, and it's good to have the season back up and running.
Yes, despite all the bitching we do, we do like doing this.
We love doing this, come on.
It's true. It's mostly because we enjoy bitching about it. It's cool.
It's the old men inside us, that's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, that's wrong.
I don't think that came out quite how you intended.
Not quite. No. Let's move on. Where else can people find you on the internet and such?
Oh, they can find me over at RogueTwoMedia.com, where we do a multitude of podcasts. To be fair, most of them are nothing to do with Formula One or motor racing in general. With me, at least, most of them to do with science fiction. We do Into the Expanse, where you and I review the most excellent TV show, The Expanse, which is on Amazon. And we just finished, at time of recording, season 1. So that's rather good. Go and give that a listen and check it out. You can also catch me on The Great Derelict, which is a podcast about anything and everything to do with science fiction. And last week just dropped an episode with Mr. Jim Moon from the Black Dog podcast and Hypnagoria, where I put 50p in the meter and he talked about 2000 AD for about 2 hours.
It's brilliant episode.
Thank you. It is the most fantastic comic in the world. Jim Moon is very passionate and fantastic at talking about it. If you're even vaguely interested in things like Judge Dredd or Strontium Dog or any of that kind of jazz, go give that a listen, and go and give Jim and his stuff a listen over at hypnagoria.com as well. That's kind of it. Oh, and while it won't come out for a little while, I did record a commentary with the broadcast, which will be coming out soon, but I don't know when. But
okay,
just follow us on the socials. We'll tell you when.
Good stuff. Right. Well, I have done a little revamp to RogueTwoMedia.com, so it's still under construction at the moment. But
do you have those GIFs of like under constructions flashing and like workmen digging things?
No.
How can people tell it's under construction then?
Exactly, yeah.
You need like the star background of the flashing lights and,
No, it's just me tinkering. I've already ballsed up like 2 websites already this weekend. I'm not a happy chappy, but I have, no, I'm not going to go into it now because it's going to go on for too long. I'm tinkering around with it, but we have like shiny new website, which is still... It works. It's all there and it's working. If there's something that's not working, or if you want something on there, let me know. I need to know where people listen to these shows, whether it be on Android or what apps you use on Android as well, because I live in like an Apple world. And so that I'm kind of blinkered and I should open my horizons to everything else. So if you have any comments about that, you can leave us an email at boxboxbox@grandprixpodcast.com. You can grab us on the Twitters as well, which is at Grand Prix Pod. I'm on Twitter as Elton McManus. You're at Andy E3E.
That's the
Is
one.
that right?
Yep, 3E.
So you can send us all these messages, where you find it. Let us know. I need to know these sort of things. So if you want to help us out and build this stuff, then let us know. So RogueTwoMedia.com is where you can find all the other stuff that we do. We have a Patreon there, which is up on the top right-hand corner. We have live shows as well with Shonky Lab when I can get round to it. Hopefully might be doing one this week. Maybe Thursday, but we'll see what happens anyway. So,
and remember, if you can raise enough money to send us to the Monaco Grand Prix, there's a chance I might enjoy it.
Exactly, yeah.
I'm not promising, but I'm just saying I might. Stranger things have happened.
Yeah.
So bear that in mind.
Yeah, the Patreon helps us out immensely. It helps pay for the websites, keeps it all up and running, helps pay for the hosting for this podcast as well, because it's not expensive. But it ain't cheap. Trust me, it ain't cheap. And it also pays for wires when they go wonky. And they do go wonky. I'm sure Andy will attest to hearing my wonky wires going a bit wonky today.
We've got a very taut piece of string between us. And occasionally, the string gets damp and it gets soggy, and we just, we need new string. And
have
that's
to
that.
Cut the end, tie a new knot in it, and see how we go.
The other thing people can do, if you like this, is tell people about it. Tell a friend to give it a listen, because that's what we want. We want new people listening, because we want to spread our reach far and wide, because eventually then the guy who runs Sky will listen to this and realise what a twat he is, and he'll rehire Ted.
Yeah, exactly.
So spread the word. Grand Prix Podcast. I did want to mention we got a really, really nice email from a chap on the Facebook group, which you'll have to bear with me for a second while I find it. But it was a really nice email, and I just wanted to read it out because we really appreciate feedback. We don't get it very often, but when we do get it, we really appreciate it. So I'm going to find it and read it out, because I saw it and I sent an email to. Did you read the thing? It's like, that's where you go. Here you go.
This is one about the flags.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Michael Davison, who asked. He said, "Thank you for the acceptance. Great podcast. Have been a fan for a few years. Looking for a topic for the podcast. You could talk about flags, i.e. the difference between yellow, wave, double yellows, blue, black, etc. To the novice, it's very confusing. White flag for USA races is to show last lap, yet Australian style is slow-moving vehicles. Cheers, Michael, 58 from Brisbane, Australia." And then he says he listens to many other podcasts, and ours is by far the best. Great stuff. To which we both said independently, that's a damning indictment of other Formula One podcasts out there. But
that's why I don't listen to any others.
It's true. I just wanted to say firstly, thank you very much for the message. We really, really appreciate any feedback, be it on iTunes, Twitter, anything like that. We will answer your question, Michael, when A, I remember at the beginning of the cast, and more importantly, B, we've done a bit of research.
Yeah.
Because at the minute, we don't know, but we will find out. So before the Bahrain Grand Prix, Elton is going to make a note in his notebook right now. Aren't you, Elton?
Here we go. Yep, writing it down.
We're gonna find out what the flags do, and we're gonna do our own little Sky F1 kind of segment at the beginning, where we'll talk about it, and maybe we'll play darts in the middle of it for some reason.
We ain't playing flipping darts. Don't make me roll my eyes here, honestly. I ain't playing darts and I don't want to roll my eyes. It's too late for that.
Alright, fine. But yes, we will investigate the secret mystic heart of the flags of Formula One for you. There you go.
Okay, cool. Well, now we've carried on for ages and ages. Thank you very much for everyone who's made it this far. We are glad that you're on board for the season. Hopefully it's going to be a really good season, and we hope to hear from you, and you'll hear from us throughout the season. So thank you very much, and until next time, goodbye.
Tua.
Especially if Ultimate has got a problem, because 2.8 has become 1.9 in the space of a lap. So that's going to happen, isn't it?